Hey you guys, it's Mish. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the basics to budgeting. These are a few tips and tricks which I wish I had known earlier in my own budgeting journey. So if you're new to budgeting and you want to pick up on a few things that will help you save time and be more efficient, then this video is for you. But if you've been budgeting for a while and you just want to learn a few things that will help perfect your budget, then this video is for you as well. So if you fall into either of those categories or you just want to hear what I have to say, then stick around and check out the rest of the video. So when it comes to finances, I feel that there's two sides. There's the actual application side of things, and then there's the mindset behind your finances and why you do what you do. There are a few books that I think are great books to read. The first one being specifically for budgeting is Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. When I first got into budgeting, this book just opened up my eyes to what budgeting is, what that should look like, and some of the necessities. And then he goes over his 7 baby steps. So if you haven't heard of Dave Ramsey, I highly suggest that you look him up. The other books which talk about like mindset and financial principles and stuff like that is going to be The Richest Man in Babylon, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Psychology of Money. So out of those books that I mentioned, being that they are so common, I always suggest to check the thrift store first before going out and purchasing these books. I guarantee you one of these books is going to be there at any given time. I see it frequently. It's just like, okay, those books get talked about a lot. People get rid of them and they're usually there. I feel that those are great starter books just to get you thinking about like finances and what you have to do and the reasoning why you are doing certain things. So let's get into the things that I suggest that you should have. So if you can't get everything, then, be resourceful and work with the things that you have. So first thing is going to be a pen or a pencil. So for the purpose of this video, I would highly suggest if you're just starting out to budget to actually work with having everything on paper before transitioning into apps and Excel sheets. But I do feel that having a written budget does serve a purpose. I know that some people are going to disagree with that. They were just like, what is the difference if, the Excel sheet is going to do the math for me? But scientifically, there is a connection between writing things down that make them become more ingrained. And I think it just makes you that more involved with your budget and with your expenses. As I said, try it for a quarter. And then if you just like, oh, I'm so glad these 3 months are up, get me to the computer or get me to my phone so I can sign up for the app. Then obviously transition to there. Me personally, I am at the point where I'm at the Excel, but anytime I'm revamping my budget or whatever the case is, I will print out that Excel sheet and I will write on there certain things, and then I will transition back to updating my Excel sheet. So even though I am Excel based, I still print off things and write them on there. Get you a nice pencil and a nice pen or a nice felt tip. I like to write in felt tip Paper Mate, the black one in specific. So I usually write with these just in general while I'm journaling. The upgraded ones do not bleed through. This is a medium one and this is a flare. So I really like this one, Paper Mate only. There are some other knockoff brands that just don't do what they need to do. It's the ink is not dark enough or whatever the case is. The other thing is just going to be to get you some highlighters. So I have a variety of highlighters here. Sharpies, the clickable ones. I really like these. I'm a stationary pen pencil type of girl, just so that you guys know. So these are really good. Of course, they have these type of ones where you can easily see what you're highlighting because it has that little clear part there so that you don't accidentally highlight more than what you need to highlight. And then if you just want to be cute, you want to be festive, they have ones that are glitter. So I got these ones in the nude ones, but these are super duper cute. So just make sure that you have at least 3 different highlighters. You can also go to the 99-cent store. But yeah, whatever is going to make you feel at ease. So now that we have that, I would suggest that you have either like a binder or a notebook, something along those lines, so that you have an area to put your documents in. I don't know what's wrong with me today. So this is going to be my budget binder for 2024. So within it, this is just a simple 1-inch one, something that's recycled. If you already have stuff at home, if you have kids that have notebooks that they're no longer using, go ahead and utilize that. You know, there's nothing wrong with saving a few dollars. I've had this notebook for years, back when I was probably just out of college or into college, and then it just has 3 different sections in here. So within these 3 sections, and it has the flaps, one is going to be utilized for my yearly goals, and then behind that yearly goal will be my annual budget. Behind that, the other section will just be for my monthly budgets. And then the last section will just be for future purchases, which are probably big ticket items. So that is how that is going to be broken down. If you're like, yeah, that's a little bit too much for me, let's just get something, then I would suggest, you know, you just get a little notebook. This one's a little cute because, hey, why not? Make sure that it does have a little pocket here, a little pocket, and then also have pages that are perforated so that you can pull those out. So this is something that I've used in the past, and in the pocket there, I had my budget for 2021, as you guys, for 2020, as you guys can see, it's just written down. That's something to look at, reflect back as we're moving into 2024. Sometimes I like to look at this stuff and just see like, hey, is the lifestyle creep still happening? Is it not happening? Whatever the case is. But anyways, the little pockets are going to be there to host your important financial things, like the ones that I just discussed. In this particular one, I actually have a happy planner sheet. This is a mock budget. So if you guys want something like this, happy planner still does have these extension sheets, I believe. I don't really buy too much of that because I'm not using a happy planner. But then they also have an expense tracker if you feel that you need to get in tune with your finances, and there's both sides. So that's for that. I still think that this stuff serves a great purpose, especially if you're new to budgeting and you kind of want to figure out which categories should I have. On this one, it has a housing category, transportation, insurance, food, children, taxes, personal care, entertainment, loans, savings, class, investments. And then there's a miscellaneous section down there. I think that pretty much covers the bulk of things. And also too, the one good thing about this is that this stuff is already created for you. If you're really Excel savvy, you can obviously just recreate something like this in Excel if you really like the layout and the different categories to go along with that. So last thing, you're like, binder, not for me. That notebook is not for me. This last thing, so these very inexpensive, you know, around school time, these usually are going for like 10 cents. Outside of going back to school, they probably are no more than like 65 cents. So within it, you just have, you know, the 2 flaps over here where you can put loose leaf paper, or you can put computer paper if you have a hole puncher, but I doubt that you do. Just saying. But anyways, most people don't have hole punchers at their house. You know, if you have other things, these are cute little notebooks that I used to always use for journaling, and then also for outlining my finances. Don't use it so much anymore, but there still is things in the back that I feel is like budgeting related, and it's still just a lot of space. So I just don't want to throw this away because I've only used like 1/3 of the pages up and whatnot, and different like stuff that I have for like my student loans at the time, and you know, just a budget in whole. Like I was just marking this up. And this is one of the things, you know, with budgeting, as I say, you know, just start where you are. and you will figure it out along the way. So those are the things that I suggest you have. Now we're going to get into a little bit of the actual documents that is going to help us with our budget. So you can do this on the computer, or you could just write it down, whatever works for you. So part of the paper will be just for your monthly bills, and then the other sections will be for quarterly bills, semi-annual bills, and then annual bills. So obviously monthly are the things that are coming out. Some of your quarterly bills might be like, hey, I take my car in to get serviced every 3 months. Some of your semi-annual bills might be like, hey, you pay tuition for your kids' schooling. You pay for your insurance. I know I pay my insurance on a semi-annual basis. And then some of the annual stuff is going to be like, hey, car registration. Hey, I don't know, whatever else comes out annually. If you take like annual family vacation, stuff like that. When you guys are writing things down in the quarterly, the semi-annual, in the annual section of this paper, please write the bill and then write, hey, it comes out in September. Hey, car registration, July. So that it's on your radar when you reference this sheet, because this is something that I'm going to suggest that you reference each month when creating your budget to make sure that you're in the know. So then that's one thing. The next thing on your sheet of paper that I'm going to suggest that you do is to either print off a blank calendar or create a calendar back here. So within that, what you're going to do, you're just going to go through and you're going to list all your monthly bills in the specific dates that you're doing. So I am a big advocate of mapping out your bills so that when you are looking at your budget, you know exactly what is coming out and when it is coming out, so that you are in the best financial situation that you can possibly be in. So those are the two things in regards to the budgeting. Now let's get into your actual budget. So when creating a budget, you should be having your necessities met, first thing, and then savings, debt, that be the second thing. And then the third thing is going to be your fun. To think of budgeting as a whole, those three categories, it tends to make things a little bit easier. So your necessities, like your transportation, shelter, utilities, and food. And then you're going to transition into, okay, those things are taken care of now. How much am I contributing to my actual savings? How much am I contributing to debt, depending on what season that you're in? And then the last thing is, hey, I actually like to go out to the movies. So what are you spending on entertainment? Hey, I have a big need or big want for self-care. So I need to make sure that I have top tier products. Or maybe you're really into makeup. So you want to make sure that those things are accounted for in your budget. But I'm just going to tell you, budgets are based off of the money that you have. This is not, hey, my paycheck and my credit card, available credit card balance. No, let's just go off of your paycheck. When budgeting, keep in mind that you budget off of your paycheck, and then there's also a balance sheet. So a balance sheet is taking into consideration how much money that you actually have in the bank. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're wondering why, when you know that you make the money, that may be a little thing that you're overlooking, like, hey, no, all of my bills come out here. So I actually don't have an extra $2,000 at the end of the month, because $1,000 of that needs to be saved for the next upcoming month. But yeah. So now that we have our budget and we've written down all of our bills, now let's get into how this money is going to be coming out. So if you get paid once a month, now obviously you need to make sure that your amount coming in is more than the expenses that you have. If for some reason you have more expenses than money, you need to cut back in some areas. So maybe after all of your necessary bills are accounted for. Maybe you need to cut back on entertainment. Maybe you need to cut back on savings. Maybe you need to cut back on debt, to at least have those evened out. So the next thing that I want to talk about is a zero-based balance budget. So Dave Ramsey, he is a big proponent of having a zero-based balance budget, which means that you have all your money accounted for the month. So after you create your budget, it should be at zero. So that doesn't mean that you don't have any money. It just means that all that money has a specific place to go. So it's just like, hey, this is going to rent, this is going to bills, this is going to saving, this is going for entertainment, this is going for vacation, and then the balance is zero. And the reason being is that a lot of people tend to spend money when they think that they have free money. So now all of a sudden I went in the store and I'm getting this TV because it's on sale because I think that I have an extra $300, when in actuality it's just like, no, that money is already going over here. It's just that simple. So thus far, we have the items that we need that are going to help us become better budgeters. We have outlined our bills, both when they are due and how much they actually are. And then lastly, we've actually created a budget that accounts for our basic needs and necessities, our savings and debts, and then some fun money as well. All of that is incorporated into our budget. So now that our budget is created and all those things are in mind, now we're actually going to track our budgets for at least 1 quarter. The reason that we're doing this is because we have fixed expenses and we have variable expenses. So fixed expenses are things that do not change, which is just like, hey, every month I know that this is my mortgage. That's a fixed expense. And then you have variable expenses, which are things like, hey, my utilities, like those fluctuate. So the reason that we're tracking our expenses is because we want our budget to be as precise as possible. So if for some reason you allotted yourself $300 a month for personal expenses, and you keep finding out that, hey, I'm actually spending $320, so that's throwing off my budget. So there's 2 things that happen if you find yourself in that situation. One, either you're going to cut back and transition to just having cash for that specific category, or 2, you're going to up that, but keep in mind that by upping that, you do have to take money from someplace else because you have a zero-based balance budget and your budget was already set at 0. So now I know that, hey, $300 doesn't work for me, I'm gonna spend $320. Or if you're in a situation you were like, no, like that was all that I have because I budgeted that last, like I can't take from anywhere else, then you need to learn to live within your means. And right now you're living outside of your means. But as usual, I just want to thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to watch my video. Take time to enjoy your own journey, and I will catch you guys in the comments into the next video. Bye.